This lecture will cover section 2.5, equations of lines. Now we've talked about linear equations and a couple of forms that you can find them in. Standard form we briefly mentioned, and slope-intercept form we talked about in the last section, 2.4. Another way you can write the equation of a line is point-slope form. So to write an equation in this form, you're going to need a point and you're going to need the slope. The point-slope form looks like this. The letter y minus y sub 1 equals m multiplied times x minus x sub 1. Alright, so remember from the last section we talked about m is always slope, and then x1 and y1 are some point. And so we're going to take these three pieces of information, m, x1, and y1, and fill them in to this form and write an equation of some line. Alright, so let's take a look at the first one. It says find the equation of a line that's going to pass through the point 3, negative 5, and it has a slope of negative 2. Alright, so here is our x1, our y1, and our m, and we're going to take these three pieces and fill them into the form. So we'll have y minus y sub 1 is negative 5, so make sure you get that in there correctly. M is negative 2, and we're going to multiply that times x minus x sub 1, which happens to be 3. Alright, and then we're going to simplify this into an equation. So y minus negative 5 becomes y plus 5. And then negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Alright, so now we want to get it. A lot of people like to write it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to first show you slope-intercept form, and then, because you can get good information out of that, some others may require you to write it in standard form. So we'll write it in both forms. Alright, so first let's solve it for y. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. That'll leave me y equals negative 2x plus 1. Alright, so now we have the equation of a line written in slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 2x plus 1. Alright, I can see that the slope is still negative 2. And now if I wanted to graph it, it would be real easy to graph it. Alright, that's, remember, the y-intercept. Or I could also use the point and the slope to graph it. Remember that from section 2.4. Now, if I wanted to write it, now let's label this. This is slope-intercept form. Alright, but if I wanted to write this equation in standard form, remember standard form is ax plus by equals c. That means the x and the y are on the same side, equal to the constant. A and b are simply the coefficients of x and y. So if I go from here, I could rewrite it. So I'm just going to copy this over. Alright, and I need to get the x and the y on the same side, and then the constants on the same side. So what I'm going to do is add 2x to both sides. That gives me y plus 2x plus 5 equals 6. Now I need to get this constant over here with this constant. Alright, and if I write it in the ax plus by form, it would be 2x plus y. Those cancel out. Equals 1. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Find the equation of the line passing through negative 4, 3, and 5, negative 1. Alright, so to remember, to write the equation of a line using point-slope form, you have to have a point and a slope. Well, in this one, all we have are 2 points. So to get the slope, we can use the 2 points and the slope formula and get us a slope. So let's do that first. Alright, so we're going to say our slope equals, remember y's go on top, so I'm going to say y2 minus y1, so this is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Alright, So we have negative 1 minus 3 and 5 minus negative 4 will give us negative 4 over 5 minus negative 4 becomes 5 plus 4, which is 9. So our slope will be negative 4/9. Alright, and then I can use either point I want to finish out writing in point slope form. So I'm going to use, it doesn't matter, let's see. I'm going to say y minus, and I'm going to use this first point here, y minus 3 equals negative 4/9 times x minus negative 4. Alright, that'll be y minus 3 equals negative 4/9 times x plus 4. Alright, then I'm going to continue to simplify. So I'll have y minus 3 equals negative 4/9 x minus 16/9. Then I'm going to get the y by itself. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. That'll give me y equals negative 4/9 x. And then negative 16/9 plus 3. If you have a calculator, type it into your calculator. If you don't, then we're going to change this 3 to 9ths. And so 3 is the same thing as 27/9. 27 divided by 9 is 3. I have the same denominator, then I can just subtract. 27 minus 16 should be, I believe, 11/9. And it's positive, so that'll be plus 11/9. Alright, remember this is slope-intercept form. To rewrite in standard form, I could simply take this and move it over, and I would have y plus 4/9 x equals 11/9. So this is slope-intercept, this is standard. Looking at the next topic is dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines. This is usually fairly straightforward if you keep these two pieces of information in mind. And that is, parallel lines, if I have two lines, the only true way I can say that they are parallel is if they have the same slope. Things may look parallel on the graph, but remember your graph is a very limited window. You can only see up to maybe 10, 20, whatever, and remember those lines go on forever, so somewhere out in infinity they may cross. So the only real way we can know is by looking at their slope. Perpendicular lines, when you look at their slopes, we can say they are perpendicular if their slopes are opposites of each other, and opposites are positive and negative, like on a battery you have opposites, the positive end and the negative end, those are opposites, and then reciprocals. Alright, so remember reciprocal means to take something and flip it over. So if I have a 4, its reciprocal would be 1/4. If I had 2/3, the reciprocal of 2/3 would be 3/2. So to be perpendicular, they have to meet both criteria, have opposite signs, and be reciprocals of each other. Have to meet both requirements. Alright, so let's take a look. Alright, I want to find the equation of the line that passes through the point 2, -4, and I need it to be parallel to the line 3x minus 2y equals 5. Alright, so remember, to write an equation, I need a point and a slope. I have the point, but I need a slope. Alright, well they've given me a line, so I can get the slope from there, and I need my line to be parallel to it. So I'm going to rewrite this in slope-intercept form so I can easily get the slope from the equation. Alright, so I'm going to say negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 5. Divide everything by negative 2. And I'll have y equals 3/2 x minus 5/2. Alright, and all I need from this equation is the slope, which is 3/2. Alright, now I have a slope and I have a point. Alright, and I'm writing the equation of a line that's parallel to this one, so I'm going to use this exact same slope and this point. Alright, so we're going to say y minus negative 4 equals 3/2 times x minus 2. That'll give us y plus 4 equals 3/2 x minus 3. So 3/2 times negative 2 would make negative 3. Alright, now I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I'll have y equals 3/2 x minus 7. Alright, that would be slope-intercept form. Then to get it in standard form, I simply move the x over. Alright, that would be my slope-intercept. This would be my standard form. Alright, if I wanted to write an equation of a line that passes through that exact same point in the previous problem, but this time it's perpendicular to that exact same equation we used up there. Alright, I'm not going to solve this out. I'm just going to rewrite it how we did in the problem above. Write it in slope-intercept form, and we said that it was 3/2 x minus 5/2. Alright, and the slope of this line is positive 3/2. Alright, so to write an equation of a line that's perpendicular to this one, what I need is the opposite of this slope here and the reciprocal. Alright, so the slope I'm going to use for my new line, it's perpendicular to this one, would be the opposite of the reciprocal of this one. So first of all, the reciprocal of 3/2 is 2/3. Then the opposite of positive is negative. So the slope I need to use to write my new equation is negative 2/3. I'm going to use that exact same point. So we're going to say y minus negative 4 equals negative 2/3 times x minus 2. And that will give us y plus 4 equals negative 2/3 x plus 4/3. Then I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. That'll give me y equals negative 2/3 x. Type it in your calculator, 4/3 minus 4, or convert this to thirds. Would be 4/3 minus 12/3 is negative 8/3. Alright, and then this would be slope-intercept form. If I wanted to write it in standard form, I move the x over with the y. To get the same equation but just written in standard form.